How can we continue to develop and grow and innovate and drive beyond our grasp as human beings while also having grace for if we never reach where we want to go?
I think it's a really important question. You for a moment, you nuance to people who are in the entertainment industry, like actors. I just want to just focus for one moment there, because you look at a great actor like Heath Ledger, who played the Joker and took on this really dark, negative shadow frequency, which I think actually began to destroy him from the inside out. Because what he ended up doing is not acting that he was in that frequency, but actually taking on that frequency and translating that on the screen. I think one of the great challenges for great artists is that oftentimes it's that negative frequency that drives a lot of their creative expression. And then they're supposed to move into a positive frequency the moment they're done. And that negative frequency stays with them. But then I want to shift over to your question about, pursuing perfectionism and giving yourself grace. I think when you pursue perfectionism, you're pursuing the outcome. And I think that's a terrible mistake. And I think that when you pursue the beauty of the process, that's actually when you give yourself grace. Years ago, someone accused me of being a perfectionist, and I always think it's interesting. Usually people who have very low standards are the ones accusing people of being perfectionists, Yeah. And I told him, I said, no, the way I know I'm not a perfectionist is the moment it's done, I'm moving on.
You're not obsessing about the outcome.
No, because once it's done, it's done. And I obsess about the process. And I want the process to be true and honest and real and excellent. And my son, I think the other day, coined this phrase about elegant excellence, which I really love. And it was effortless excellence, which is even better. He said, because when you achieve a level of greatness, it looks effortless. And what happens is that person has been so committed to the process that the outcome looks effortless. And that's what I want to, achieve in my life. I just want to love the process. People ask me all the time, how do I know I'm pursuing the right dream? Or how do I know if this is my destiny? Or how do I know if this is my calling? And for me, it's really simple. If you're drawn by the outcome, it's not your dream. If you love the process, it's your dream.
Yeah.
If you're drawn by the outcome, it's not your destiny. But if you love the process, it's probably your destiny. And the same way with the calling. Like if some people go, oh, I want to do what you do. I've had so many people over the years, tell me, I want to do what you do. And I go, are you willing to do what I did?
Right.
And like, no, I'm not.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. And, because I've had the opportunity to speak on stages to millions of people around the world. And I would have never imagined that opportunity, and it was never my ideal. I never thought, oh, one day I'm just going to speak to millions. I really, every day I was going, I just want to be able to communicate hope and meaning and life to whoever I interact with.
Yes.
And at first it was just 1-on-1, and it was 1-on-5 and 1-on-10. And and being true to those moments is what prepared me for the next moment.
Yeah. If you're only thinking about the outcome, the dream, the results, and that's where you want to be, and that's the goal. And if you're not enjoying the process, when you get to the goal, it's just going to be a miserable experience getting there. You're not going to be enjoying the hard work and appreciating the process and how you're progressing. So
because fame isn't a state of being. It's a vapor. And you can be famous in one moment, infamous the next. And, so it's way better to pursue a life where you're worth knowing, not a life where you're well known.
What's the difference between being worth knowing and well known?
Because a person may only have 10 friends, but be worth knowing because their life has brought so much good to the people around them. Some of the most extraordinary people I know have almost no social media following.
Right.
They don't care. And they just live their life to do good. They're always serving their friends. They're always bringing hope and inspiration to people around them. And if you focus on being worth knowing, then if your influence grows, it'll actually have value in the world. And I think one of the challenges with social media is that you can become famous just for existing. And I think that's where you will not have sustained success unless you actually begin to build who you are as a human being.
When someone is famous for just existing, and maybe not for adding value beyond existing, which existing is valuable, obviously, but when you're extremely popular for existing without generating some type of value from people, what happens to them later down the line if they're popular, famous for existing as opposed to adding value?
It's not even what happens down the line, it's what's happening to them right now. That all their energy is being focused on their persona rather than their personhood. Like everything's being focused on what other people see about them and say about them rather than who they're becoming, what they say about themselves. And that's why you find so many people who have rapid fame have such deep self-loathing, because they know that they're not what everyone loves.
Wow, interesting.
And what people long for is to be loved. And what they'll settle for is to be admired or to be adored or to be worshiped. But what they really want is to be known and to be loved.
But if someone has a big following or they're famous, will they not feel that they're loved by that audience?
How do you explain how many artists have millions of followers that end up with such a radical drug addiction or alcohol addiction that their whole lives collapse before they're 30 years old?
Why is that, do you think?
It's because human beings are not created to sustain a persona. And I use this psychological assessment that deals with image management. And what I found is that most successful people that I've graphed have an image management on a scale of 1 to 99 from 90 to 99.
Okay.
And so one of the great challenges is that they spend so much energy thinking about what other people think about them. And on that same scale, my number is an 11, which is kind of funny because my wife's is in the 90s. I think it'll be okay to say this. And I was leading this marriage event in Mexico, and we're dealing with this image management stuff. And my wife's like, I don't like the fact that my image management score is in the 90s. Like, what will people think of me?
That's funny.
She goes, and I hate that yours is an 11 because that's half the problem in our marriage, that you don't care what people are saying about you.
So 100 is what? You care a lot what everyone thinks about you.
Yes.
1 is...
99 is you're spending all of your energy building a persona of what other people think about you.
An image, a brand to your community.
And a 1 would be, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you think, and maybe they don't even have any social etiquette, right? They might need a little bit of image management, right?
Well, sometimes there are people that say, I don't care what anyone thinks, but they actually care so much.
So much, that's right. And that's true. And they're creating a negative image because it matters so much. But what's funny is, so one day I went and worked out in the gym, was playing some paddle tennis, and I came back and I groaned, and I went, oh. She goes, what's wrong? And I said, I hurt my back. She goes, shave your beard. And
shave your beard.
I started laughing. I said, honey, that's image management.
Uh-huh.
You think that if I shave my beard and look younger, it'll deal with my back pain.
To yourself, yeah.
And she started laughing hysterically because it's so true, right? It's that you can become convinced that if you can change your externals, it'll fix your internals. But it's so much
that's limited. It's superficial, maybe for a short period of time, but not.
Right. It's so much harder to convince someone change the internals.
Yeah.
And it will transform your externals. I feel like I downloaded a process called the 7 frequencies of communication that we ended up releasing, and I basically began to break down human communication on human frequencies. And one of the things that I think is really important is to realize that human beings communicate in frequencies, but they're not always positive frequencies.